I'm interviewing Dawn Bradley. She was just in my salon in Portland, Oregon. Gosh, was that a week ago? 2 weeks ago? Was it 2 weeks ago? I don't remember how long ago. It's been like 2 weeks now. So anyway, without making her wait any longer, I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around. Before I get started, though, I just want you guys to know that I've got a list of questions I'm going to go through. 2 weeks. Sheila even knows. Sheila's like, it was 2 weeks ago. That's hilarious. So before I get started, I'm going to turn the camera or the light off. I'm going to turn this around. Hold off on questions for just a little bit before, and let me get into my questions first, and then we'll turn it over to you guys. Okay, I'll see you guys in a second. And hello, Dawn. Dawn Bradley, everyone. Everyone saying hi. Thank you for enjoying.
Hi.
Thank you for inviting followers. I appreciate it, guys, so that everyone gets a chance to talk to Dawn. I'm going to make sure that, sorry, Dawn, hold on one second.
No worries.
Technical stuff here. I'm just going to make sure that the sound is all the way up. Oh, it wasn't. Okay, good. All right. Thank you for doing this. I know you've been so busy because you were first you were in, gosh, were you in Victoria? You were in Vancouver, BC.
Yeah.
And then you were in Portland with us. And then you just got back from LA. And I know that you got a chance to see a lot of peeps over there, so that was really cool. Okay, so anyway, thank you for joining us and just like agreeing to do this. And then I think what I wanted to talk to you about, I'm just going to dive into our questions that I kind of sent you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course, I love it. So I just want to hear a little bit about your background. Like, tell us how long you've been doing this, how long you've been doing hair, all that good stuff.
All right, so I started taking cosmetology classes in high school in grade 10. Sorry, and just so you guys know, my dog's right beside me, so
Hi.
If you see like a random paw, that's him. So I started taking cosmetology class in grade 10, just as like an elective to get my average boosted up, and I really, really liked it. But I never thought seriously about hairstyling as a career, and then after high school, I didn't know what direction I wanted to take, so I just kind of went to hair school on a whim, knowing that it was something that came naturally to me, but nothing, because I grew up in a smaller town, I hadn't really seen anyone make a career out of it, so it wasn't something that was really encouraged or that I thought was even a career path. But after taking school and getting offered a job in an Aveda salon, things kind of started to shift, and I started working there and kind of started to dream about bigger things with that. So I started, that was in 2002 was when I graduated beauty school. So 15-ish years coming up.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and I got to travel overseas to England and work in the Aveda Academy there, which was the coolest experience ever. I got to see some really fantastic hairstylists do their thing. And
awesome.
At 21 years old and 3 years into the industry at the time, I thought I really knew a lot. And it was a very humbling experience.
Yes.
And probably the best thing I could have done for my career. I learned so much from their way of doing hair.
Yeah.
So I was there just over a year, and then I came home for a few months, and home was Saskatchewan in Canada. And then I went over to Australia, and I worked under a hairstylist there in a more smaller boutique-like salon, and I just like loved that small, quaint, like more one-on-one atmosphere. Perfect. So I got some really great experience there, and then I came home, and 6 years ago started doing my own thing.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
Kind of my brief history, yeah.
I love that. I didn't know about the overseas part. I know we were talking briefly about it, but I didn't realize that. So were you kind of doing almost like an apprenticeship and working in the salon?
Yeah, so in England, it's kind of a funny story because I really, coming from a smaller city, had not a lot of exposure to the industry on a whole, and social media didn't exist then. I remember, I think MySpace maybe existed then.
Oh, snap.
And I went over there just kind of not even with my career in mind.
Yeah.
And I ended up applying, and all of a sudden, not even knowing where I'd apply to, I walked up and it was like big Aveda sign. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm way in over my head. But I applied anyway. And I kind of look back and giggle because I remember I got it, a job apprenticing. And I remember questioning whether or not, because I had been working behind the chair and with clients, whether or not I should take this step back. It felt like a step back. So I apprenticed there. But like I said, it launched me into so much more with my career. It made me give me a more formal training on doing hair in a completely different way than I had been taught back home. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know if that answered your question completely.
No, it totally does. And I think it's really relatable for a lot of us hairstylists, just like the whole path of like starting as a hairstylist, not really sure if we're taking it so seriously. And so I love that you just even like touched on that even.
Yeah, it was really good for my ego too, because at 21, thinking I knew everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, it brought me down a few notches, which was a really good thing at the time.
That's awesome. I love it. And then you kind of, I know at some point you rebuilt your clientele because you're telling me about how you moved. And when you moved, you had to kind of start all over again with rebuilding your clientele. And I want to hear about that too.
Absolutely. So actually, I figured out 2 years ago today, I moved to Calgary.
Wow. That's it?
So,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, without getting too much into a backstory, I had been self-employed for about 5 years and working alone. And there was just this thing inside of me that was like, I don't think this place is forever. And I was ready. It was in the city that I spent most of my life in. And I was just ready to go somewhere else. And I kind of just had this feeling. And I remember saying to someone, opportunity doesn't always present itself to you. Sometimes you have to go chase it. Sometimes you have to go find it. So I told myself that when my commercial lease was done, if I still had that feeling of wanting to move, I'd do it and start it. Like I've always had this, like I've dealt with a lot of anxiety in my life, but I've also never wanted it to stop me from pursuing something. So I, 2 years ago, just like closed up shop, sold my house, moved cities and provinces, so it's a 6-hour drive away from where I am, and arrived in Calgary with no idea of what I was going to do. Yeah. Everyone advised me that I should probably go back into working for a salon and working for someone to build a clientele. Yeah. And I remember kind of feeling like pressured into that or thinking like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But there was something in my gut that was just saying like, no. And I even went to an interview. I was like, you know what? Everyone keeps saying this. Like maybe I'm crazy. Like maybe I should be listening to what everyone's saying. But then my gut, I just remember being like, I can't. Yeah. And I kind of had this overconfidence of like, I'll just use Instagram and trying to convince people that I was really confident in it. Yeah. And then thinking in the back of my head, like, I hope to God this works out because like, can I build a clientele just from Instagram? Yeah. So I would spend 8 hours a day on Instagram before I had clientele. And within 3 months, I was working from a basement of a rental I was living in. And in 3 months, I was fully booked 2 months in advance.
Oh my gosh, Dawn, that's so crazy. I didn't know you were spending that much time like building it up and then it just paid off like that. It's amazing, really isn't it, Rhonda?
I had high hopes. I was like, like, you know, I think sometimes you kind of have to talk to yourself like it's going to happen so that you put the work into making it happen. Yeah, sure. And I would say like, yeah, it's going to be easy. Like, no problem. I'll have a clientele in no time. Like, I can do this. But the fact that it actually did happen blows me away. And I'm so grateful for it. So, yeah, and then a year after being in Calgary, like, I opened up my salon here, and it's 2 years today that I moved. So it's pretty cool to take a step back and reflect and see what, like, solely Instagram has done for me.
Yeah, the timeline on that. I know that's amazing. And then you were saying that you kind of started doing the hair painting thing, and then I want you to share, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with everyone that's viewing this, like, what made you decide to specialize in hair painting and just focusing on that?
Right. So the first time I heard about hair painting, I remember being really intrigued about, I went and got my hair cut at Whitmore House in New York, and the girl cutting my hair had said that they didn't use foils. And because at that point I was already working on my own and education was really important because I didn't have coworkers to kind of gleam off of anymore. Yeah. I wanted to make sure that I was going and surrounding myself with other stylists to make sure I was staying, you know, current in the industry. I didn't want to get stale. So I remember asking, you know, like, I want to hear more about this, and they weren't offering any classes at the time, but it's kind of just on my radar. And then when I did start learning from stylists who had worked there, I loved it. And it all of a sudden, as an artist and a creator of art, you know, with hair, it really spoke to something inside of me, and it lit me up. And I think for the first time in my career, it felt like I've really fit somewhere within the industry, because I've never really been into the avant-garde. I've always really been into like wearable, touchable, you know, I always say like hair is a moving art piece, and hair painting and the technique of hair painting that I do really lends itself well to that movable, flowy, like hair isn't one dimensional like it used to be in the 80s, where it was like, you know, rock hard. You wanted to spray. I used to spray my bangs, well, not in the 80s, in the 90s, spray my bangs so they wouldn't move.
Totally.
Right? Where now it's like we want it to be like touchable and movable, and we want it to look good from every angle or every flip. And if 5 hairs go over this way, it still looks good. And this technique of hair painting just totally, it just, for me as a hairstylist, spoke to like my soul.
Yes,
So.
I know. I love that. And I think a lot of people too, obviously. I mean, it drew a whole following. That's awesome. I love that. Yes, everyday hair. Yes, exactly, JC. And everyone was like, somebody was actually making a comment. It was Rhonda. Rhonda was saying that your eyebrows are on fleek right now. So
Thank you. It's from the Brow Babe. If you guys follow her on Instagram, she's awesome.
Oh my God, she did an amazing job. I wish I had hair left there. So mine's like disappearing.
I overplucked for a lot of years.
So did I. The 90s, what do you do?
Yeah.
It's so true. So if you wouldn't mind sharing with us, Dawn, I love hearing your story. So can you just tell us a little bit more about like what you feel is the biggest challenge that you're, not just with you, but like the biggest challenge within the industry? Since you've been in the industry long enough, like what do you see as like being the biggest challenge in the industry?
Right. Well, and I have been in the industry for a while, but I don't want to speak on behalf of the industry either, just because I'm one person in one place, one demographic kind of area. But
Yeah.
as I heard you saying that, it made me think, from my perspective, the biggest challenge that I faced currently in the industry is because social has become so huge, comparison. Right. And not even realizing that I was comparing myself to people, but my anxiety got out of control these last couple of years. And
Okay.
I'm feeling a lot better now, but realizing a lot of the social media, which has been a great platform in many, like I wouldn't have been able to rebuild my clientele in a new city the way I did without it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, the negative side to that and I can only speak for myself, is that you only see small glimpses of the best parts of people and what they want to show you. And the jealousy that I would feel towards other people instead of celebrating it, and like a bad, like jealousy more than envy, right? Like,
yeah.
And even recognizing that was coming up inside of me, but that comparison of like, not, instead of celebrating someone, feeling, having to check myself. Yeah. I feel like that could be, the biggest thing in the industry, maybe.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I think it's like kind of human nature a little bit to like check yourself with other people. That whole feeling like you're missing out on something or like doubt or whatever. But there's a book that you read recently that I know, don't you love our honesty, Rhonda? I love it too. That's why I love you. Yay. Smoke and Mirrors is all a face. I love your honesty. Everyone loves your honesty. Maureen, I agree too. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. What was that book that you just finished? You were talking about a book. You just did a post where you kind of were talking about that. I thought that was really good.
Oh, I just recently, it's so funny because I talked to like every single one of my clients or like anyone who will listen to me about this book recently. So I apologize to anyone who's already heard this. And it's a book that's been revolutionary to my life.
Yeah.
But it's called Do Less. And I was just looking to see if I have it here so I could show you guys. I don't know if I do have it here.
Okay.
But it's all about minimalism. And, it talks about it in every facet of your life, like your social life, your financial life, your work life. And for me, I think a lot of the stress and anxiety I was experiencing all around my work too. Like and I don't know if you guys saw, I posted that I had recently been in the hospital. That was all due to anxiety. And the whole time I was in the hospital, my mind was consumed with work and thinking I should quit and just like give up and go live under a rock and just this irrational fear.
Yeah.
But this book on minimalism really, I don't want to go, I could probably talk for 45 minutes about it, but it just like helps set up really good systems. And for someone like me who's not organized by nature, it's helped me really organize the world around me in order for my mind to be put at ease. And it's been so cool. I don't know if that was the book that you were meaning.
I think so. It's like you were just able to like kind of take a step back and look at things in a more holistic, or just at least just like less is more kind of a thing, and just being more intentional. So yeah, I think that's good.
Sorry, I think we're breaking up here a little bit.
Are we? I know there was a couple times where it was getting a little spotty, so the connection. So sorry.
I think, if anything, for myself, just to go back to what we were talking about, was that, like feeling like I was comparing, or instead of like really checking myself and being like, I actually really love that person. Why am I feeling jealous? I want to celebrate them, and finding more security in who I am, what my style of work is, and celebrating myself more and being like, I should stop trying to do this that is not my forte, and just focus on what resounds within myself as an artist and a hairstylist.
Yes.
And since then, and making that shift, I've been like, this is who I am. I don't need to try and fit in someone else's box of either who they think I should be or I feel like I should be because I'm part of this industry. I just want to do the hair that I love to do and that I'm good at and that my clients want.
So, Smoky Bones had a question for you. Smoky Bones. Sorry, I don't know your name, Smoky Bones, but that's what you come up as your handle. Was asking a question about like depression and anxiety and like, what do you do to cope with it when you're feeling it? Like what kind of, do you have a mantra for yourself or do you have like a routine?
That's tough. So I was diagnosed with depression at 21 years old, and it wasn't something that I feel like there's so much more awareness now and literature and help for people with it, but I really didn't know what that even meant. And anxiety was something that I didn't understand. So I feel like it's just now that I'm really learning, like yoga has helped me a lot. And to go back to that book that I was talking about, just finding a routine. And I'm someone who loves being spontaneous, and I hate feeling tied down by routine. Like I always tell people, I have the hardest time signing a phone contract because I feel like tied down to something. But this book really challenged me because it said, by having a routine, it gives you more space to be spontaneous. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, but I was kind of mad at it because I'm like, now I have to get a routine because I love being spontaneous. And I use that as my reason not to have routine. So just in the last couple of weeks, I've been having like a really strict bedtime and wake up time because diet, exercise, and sleep are so important for me. And I used to be on medication for depression, but I'm currently not. But I can find that, you know, if I get into sleeping well, eating right, and exercising, that helps me a lot. But when you get in those funks, that's the last thing you want to do. So having accountability to that and remembering that I know when I do those things, that's when I start feeling better.
I love that. And then you've got your little poochie. You got Leroy.
Yeah, he's looking out the window right now.
We can see Leroy in the reflection too. It's awesome. It's like a duo, like the dynamic duo. Positive thinking. Sorry, I missed that last thing that somebody just wrote out. So if you want to type that in again. But I love that you're just being open and honest about it. Honestly, Dawn, I think that's super important. I just love that you're sharing that with everyone.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's totally fine. I just love that you're being honest and open about it and that you're just being an open book about it because I think it's something that people shy away from. The book, The Secret, is great too. Oh yeah, The Secret. I never did read that one, but I know a lot of people love that one.
I haven't read The Secret. Sorry, I'm just trying to get Leroy from barking. Leroy, come here. Leroy, down. Sorry, this is my real life, people.
That's okay. That's what you like about this.
Yeah, I think for a long time I felt like honesty and being transparent was a little bit scary because then people saw your weakness. And I was just talking about this with Nina yesterday from Passion Squared, actually. And I was saying, I just lost my train of thought. Like when I started in the industry, it was always about putting on this professional front and putting your best foot forward and faking it till you make it. And now with social media, the way it's evolved, people really want to see you as real and authentic and feel relatable. And then I feel like that loneliness factor of feeling like I'm alone in this or nobody understands this, that's where the anxiety and the depression can really get us, is feeling like nobody else understands what I'm going through. And that's why I really like shining a light on it, is knowing like everyone around you probably understands and knows it, but everyone's so scared to expose that self part of them because we're trained to be like, I don't struggle, I'm not weak. But there's strength and weakness, right? Because then totally. By speaking that, then you know it and it's out there. And
we get it.
Rambling now, but
no, not at all. I love it. I think it's so
I feel really
real.
Passionate about it.
I know, I can tell, and I think that's awesome. I think it like comes through in your teaching too. So I think it's good. Yeah, no, I think it's great. I love that you're sharing that. So I want to hear like what do you feel is next for you? Like what do you have going on like in the next 6 months to a year?
Right. So big exciting news. I actually just offered a job to a junior stylist today.
Oh, you did?
So I have been working alone for the last 6 years with support staff and things like that. But that's been a big fear for me, is managing people and being responsible for other people and for their paycheck, right? That's that's kind of scary.
That's awesome, Dawn.
And I think I'm a little bit of a control freak. So I like letting that out is,
you're not a control freak. You're just a
hairstylist. Is so awesome. And I'm really excited about building her up in her career, and really I'm ready to give to the next generation of hairstylists. So that's something that I'm obviously going to be putting a lot of investment in the next few months. And that's going to be my main focus for the next little while, and teaching. And it's a little, I know I've promised online that my hair painting 201 has been coming out, but I am launching that very soon. Just finished doing the finishing touches. There's been a few bumps in the road with that, but I'm super excited to be launching my hair painting 201. And that, I'm sure there's other stuff that's going to pop up in there too. So I'm super excited.
That's probably enough for now. That's really good. That's exciting. That's a big step for you. Like,
it is,
we were kind of talking a little bit about it. Like 6 years being by yourself. That's really cool. I love that. You're so, I mean, you're ready for it anyway, it sounds like. So good for you.
Yeah, I kind of work backwards where like most people always like prepare everything and then go and do something. But I have to like do it and then like get everything prepared, because if I don't ever set like a deadline, I'm the greatest procrastinator there is.
Well, it sounds like you are really, if we're not wanting to be organized, it seems like you are really organized. So,
like I feel, actually my bookkeeper the other day when I dropped off my bookkeeping, she's like, you're so organized. And I was like, I think I'm tearing up. Like, thank you so much. That's the sweetest thing anyone's ever said. I just have never been organized, but I feel like, and pardon my language, but I feel like lately I've really got my shit together, and it feels good. Cause normally I landed last night from LA back here in Calgary, and I was at work this morning, and just as I was with clients thinking like, I need to do this, I need to do this. And with my anxiety, normally I would be completely overwhelmed and I do none of it. But there's this calmness that's with me. And I think there's something about, I've been doing a lot of self-development work lately and working through a lot of stuff. And it's been hard work, and there's been many times I've just wanted to be like, I don't want to do it. This is too hard. This is painful. Like, stuff with work and stuff with personal life. But I feel like I've really broken through something recently, and I'm kind of like reaping the rewards of stuff's not fun to work through, but if you can actually get through it, it's pretty awesome.
Then you get to reap the benefits. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, so I'm super pumped, and it's kind of like this foreign feeling to be like, normally I'm usually anxious about this and feeling this way, but my body's actually like responding differently, and my mind feels clearer. So it's a pretty, if anyone struggles with those things as well, like, just know not to give up.
I love that. Don't give up. And then I actually had one more question. What advice do you have for newer stylists who are starting out? Because a lot of times newer stylists kind of join in, and I always like to give advice, and you're kind of in that space too. Like, what advice do you have?
Right. So kind of like that, don't give up. I struggled probably the first 5 years in the industry just because I remember coming out of hair school, kind of like how I was saying when I was 21, I thought I knew it all. I remember coming out of hair school and thinking like, I know what I'm doing.
I got this.
Right. And I think just being really open to getting advice and seeing different perspectives. And I was talking, like the girls from the business of balayage this weekend, we were talking about there's many roads to the same place. And so if anyone I would never want a new hairstylist to feel discouraged or to think that they had to do things a certain way. And I'm a pure example of I've never really followed the common way of doing things. When I quit my job at the salon that I worked at for off and on for about 10 years, everyone said, like, you're going to open up your own place and have staff. And I was like, no, because we don't have studio salons, or I think that's what they're called in the States. We don't really have the same setup where you can just go work in a studio by yourself. So I just found a retail space and worked on my own and kind of did my own thing and what felt right in my gut. And so for new stylists out there, if you don't feel like you're following the herd, it's okay. Do your own thing. And I think success comes in so many different forms. And you got to stay true to who you are in your gut and what that's telling you, as opposed to what everyone else is, everyone else is saying they think you should do. And just to really put that work in, like, it's hard work in the beginning, but I feel like around 5 years of in the industry is when I started to really feel like I was finding my fit.
5 years, I agree. I think 5 years is kind of that magical number where things kind of really start turning a corner.
Absolutely.
I'm right there with you on that 5-year mark. Sheila had a question. She wanted to ask you about like advice on Instagram. Sheila, do you want to be a little more specific, hun? Like, do you have something specifically you want to work on maybe? Or is it just in general? It sounds like not sure if there was like more specifically, but sorry.
Okay.
And if anyone has any more questions, feel free to go ahead and ask, but I definitely want to free up Dawn's time because she obviously just flew home and went straight into clients and straight onto Periscope with us. So nonstop for her. And I completely appreciate you joining.
Oh, this has been so fun. Thank you for having me.
No, I know I feel bad that you like went, you left and you come back. Sheila was just saying one tip to build clientele. I have a ton of industry followers, she was saying. So she wants to know on building up clientele tips.
Right. So the one major thing that I did, and this was before I even knew what an influencer was, or if there was like influencer, sorry, I totally lost the word that I was going to, I'm clearly tired. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Influencer culture is that before I even moved cities, I started looking up the hashtag of Calgary, which is Calgary or YYC and that sort of thing. And I found someone who was really connected and fit my brand with hair. So I found somebody who I knew I would love to do her hair, that she represented, the type of hair that I do and the type of look that I do. And I connected with her in a real authentic way, and I didn't want to take advantage or abuse a relationship with her, but I actually wanted to build a relationship with her, which I think is really important because nobody wants to feel sold to.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
But so I came to Calgary from Saskatoon is where I lived, and I met with her and met for coffee and just to see like if we actually connected. Yeah. And then from that I offered to do her hair for her in exchange for like a post because she had a really good following in the city. So after I moved, we got together, I did her hair, and then I ran a contest. And because I didn't have a very big following, I got her to post about her hair. And I said, like, if you like your hair, obviously I don't want her to post if she hates it. But so she did a post about her hair I can't remember exactly, but the same day I put the contest up, she's like, got my hair done, love it. Dawn's actually running a contest right now. Go check her out. So my contest then was seen by anyone who liked her hair and came through. And I think I had 88 comments, which in the comments you had to tag 3 friends in order to enter. So, and I'm pretty good at math, but I don't know what 88 times 3 is. So,
a lot.
Whatever that is, that was instantly my exposure to people, which if I just ran the contest by myself, hashtags, I would have got found a little bit, but having someone else of influence that fit my brand and that it was, and I hate using the word authentic because I feel it is like kind of overused now.
That's okay. But, it's a good word.
Yeah, but that it was actually genuine, right? Like it wasn't that, and obviously there was an exchange going on. That I did her hair for free and she posted about it, but I wanted to make sure that she loved it. So that was what really was the springboard, because some people wanted to win the contest and some people loved her hair, clicked on my name, saw my page with, exactly the type of hair that I wanted to be in my chair. And some of them didn't want to wait to see if they won the contest. So they just booked in.
Wow.
So is that helpful?
I think it is. Yeah. Sheila's saying, thank you. Everyone loves that. I mean, that's great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, great advice. Great concept. Yeah, very smart. Girls got some brains.
Thank you. I actually really love marketing. I always say, like, if I wouldn't have gone into hair, I would have loved to go into marketing, which I can utilize that in this
people
career
are saying
as well.
Tremendously helpful. Great idea. Thank you. Everyone's loving it.
Good.
Lots of hearts.
You're welcome.
So thank you so much. And the contest, guys, if you didn't hear the whole thing, just go ahead and go back and watch the replay if you're able to. It will stay up for 24 hours. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. I love you so much, Dawn.
I love you too. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Yeah, me too. That was fun. All right, hon. Have such a great night. Get some good rest.
I will.
Kiss Leroy. Thanks. I'll watch your snaps later. And for those of you who want to follow Dawn, it's just Dawn Bradley Hair under Instagram. So just follow her on there. And then I know you're on Snapchat too. You're kind of doing half and half right now, like between Snapchat and Instagram, right?
Yeah, I try to. Sometimes I bring the Snapchat and just like load it on the Insta story. I'm needing to be a little bit more consistent on both those, but it's so much. Does anyone else feel overwhelmed by like all the different avenues?
I mean, honestly, if I didn't have an assistant helping me, it probably wouldn't get done much, because a lot of times, well, here's the thing, that's been helping me. If you just have a couple cool clients that like to do that kind of crap, you just hand them your phone and then they'll do it for you.
That's smart. That's really smart.
Just do a takeover. They'll take over and they'll love it. Yeah. So
I keep saying Leroy's not pulling his weight. Like he needs to start
Leroy.
Killing totally. And stuff.
He needs to get like a paw print identification so he can just sign in.
Yeah.
All right, hon. Mwah, I love you.
Awesome.
Have a
Thanks,
good
guys.
night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Guys. Whoa, big face. Here we go. Isn't that funny? Thank you so much for joining. I super appreciate it, guys. It's always fun to meet other people in the industry and just pick their brains and talk with them. So if any of you guys want to be interviewed in the future, please feel free to DM me on Instagram. That's the easiest and fastest way to get a hold of me. Obviously, serious inquiries only. So we're just talking about hair. Let's not bombard messages. Let's take it seriously. It's all for the love and the goodness of the industry. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Dawn Bradley, it's funny because I actually met her on Instagram and we kind of just started talking. I don't even remember how it started. It was very organic and I saw a post that she put up and we kind of just started corresponding, and I love the way that she painted, and we were talking about, you know, in the future her possibly coming to Portland because she had never been to Portland, Oregon before. And I just told her, if you're ever near the area, hi from Turkey, thanks for joining. I just said, if you're ever in the area, let me know and I would love to have you come in. And so we were able to put it together. Thank you. Yeah, that was fun to do the interview. Obviously, I love doing it. So I'm like all into it now. But yeah, she came into Portland and I just said, yeah, if you want to, we can try to put together a class and then we can make the best of it. And that way you can kind of teach at my salon and then we can hang out. And so it worked out so well. Your Periscope messed up, Rhonda. You have to watch the replay. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Catch the replay. She was super great. I love that she gave that authentic advice at the very end. That was really smart about how she did the contest. So if you guys missed out on it, make sure you catch that part of the interview. And tomorrow I'll be just bringing you with me in the salon. I'll be doing some kind of tutorial at some point. So I always try to hop on when there's a good opportunity, but I never know when it's going to happen. So again, more like in the moment. And I hope you guys have a really awesome evening. I will talk to you tomorrow and sleep well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.